Hello, Tom Ellis with the Biz Doc, looking at vtnews.ai. That's where I get my news in the morning. You should think about it. Go there, register, and check it out. Find out what news is coming from the right or for the left. And in the news, what I was finding a bunch of predictions this week. I'm like, wait a minute. Last year, I made like 5 predictions like on the podcast, and it turns out 4 out of 5 came true. Interesting. So I felt pretty good about that. They were rational predictions. You know what I thought? I'm going to go 10 this year because I think there were 10 things in a combination of the economy and companies, and that's where I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay out of politics because it's be so easy just to predict. Politics will be a mess as a new guy comes into office and tries to get all his other people into office. There's not a real prediction there. So let's go here. These are my top 10 Biz Doc prediction in business and the economy for 2025. Number 10, nukes are back. No, not the ones we shipped to Ukraine, nuclear energy. As a matter of fact, Oracle says it's got 3 permits to build reactors next to data centers because data centers are sucking up an incredible amount of energy and creating issues in surrounding communities like brownouts, which really sucks in the middle of summer if the data center place is using up all that energy and there's a brownout for you and your air conditioning during the day and you have to wait till the evening hours where you can use more power. This is really an issue. So nukes will come back. And the reason it's important, fun fact for you, how many nukes are being built in the United States right now? 1. There's 1, and it's being built in Oak Ridge, which was one of the 3 original sites of the Manhattan Project. One of them was Los Alamos, New Mexico. The other one, I think, was Hanford, Washington. And then Oak Ridge, right there, 200 miles north of Atlanta in eastern Tennessee. That is where we have a nuke being built. You know how many are being built in China right now? 25. Can you name the country that doesn't want to be dependent on any oil from anyone? China. It's going to take a while to get there, but they're thinking 2 steps ahead on energy. But nukes are going to come back in the U.S., driven by data centers. Now, these are not like 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl, the old nukes and everything. This is new technology stuff, and they're much smaller. You might have even read things about Google trying to get ultra small nukes packaged to supply only a data center and only a given area. Yep. So number 10, nukes will be back. Number 9, MSNBC or CNN will be sold, not both. And I think it'll probably happen. I'm going to really go out and put a date on it at the Allen Conference. The Allen Conference, Allen and Company Conference, is where everybody in media and platforms get together and they all, drink very expensive wine, talk to each other, wear vests with logos, and get basically a little hammered in the evenings and a little bit deal making in the daytime. And I think that CNN or MSNBC will be sold. I'm going to go lean toward MSNBC being the one that's sold, but not both. Why? Because the ratings are down for both. They are now money-sucking holes, even though they're cutting everybody's salary, including cutting talent. Heck, even Fox was cutting talent. Neil Cavuto didn't get renewed last week on Fox Business. So talent contracts are an endangered species, especially the big ones, and MSNBC or CNN will be sold, but not both. And my lean is MSNBC will be the one that's sold. That's number 9. Number 8, AI will keep on moving. It was number 1 in venture funding this year, and I think it got 1 out of every or 2 out of every $7 went to AI investments. And I'm going to say no change this year, a ton of investments, but it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be AI tools, a lot of big AI tools, big platforms that provide AI tools to business segments. And I think it is still going to be the number 1 investment. You're saying, Biz Doc, that's kind of easy. Now I'm going with AI tools, not necessarily AI platforms. AI platforms like ChatGPT, and you can use it, plug it in, and do other things with it. I'm going to talk about the tool sets. So we'll go back. Was the number 1 venture capital funding category AI tools in 2025? That's what I think. Number 7, I think tariffs will be tactics, not taxes. There will not be terrible situations where baby clothes coming out of Vietnam cost $24 for a onesie. I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to be tactics used by President Trump to get benefits for you and me in the U.S. economy. So I think tariffs will be tactics, not taxes, and everything going to be okay. And the big dog, the orange man, is going to get benefits for you and me. That's number 7. Number 6, inflation is dying, but it's not going to move to hospice care and absolutely be dead. As a matter of fact, it could come up a little bit more. Right now, it's what? 2.75%, 3% or something. We all want it to be down to 2% or less. I don't think it's going to get there. I think it's going to be pretty stubborn. And that 3% over 3 years, you got to remember that becomes $1.03, $1.07, $1.10, $1.12. So actually $1.13. So in 4 years, a dollar could be $1.13 for every dollar you're paying on something. So it's important to get inflation down, but I think it's going to be really stubborn, which leads to the Fed maybe cutting rates further or raising. If inflation goes nuts, you better be careful. Those rates are coming up. But I think inflation is down, not out, and that's number 6. Number 5, bad news. Mortgages will 30-year fixed mortgage for someone with a 700 credit, which is a solid credit on a regular conforming mortgage. I don't think they're going to get below 6.25. I would have loved to say, hey, they're going to be 5.75, 5.5 by the end of the year. I don't think so. I think it's being stubborn. As a matter of fact, right now, January 2nd, 2025, mortgages have crept back to 7%. 30-year fix for people with about a 700 credit. So I think it's going to be stubborn, and we're only going to see that at 6.25. So I'm going to put a little extra bonus here, is that the housing market is going to stay tight. Not a lot of homes sold, not a lot of new mortgages. Forget the refi market and keep renting and make it cost effective for yourself. That's what I think. Number 4. Buy now, pay later. BNPL is going to be buy now, pour later, as people are going to be defaulting on BNPL at record rates. Right now, we're way up over $1 trillion in credit card debt, and we're already seeing that we had a pretty good spending season in fourth quarter, but spending what money? Savings is almost non-existent for 60% of the U.S. citizen. Let me say that again. Saving is almost non-existent for 60% of the U.S. citizen, but everybody went out. They didn't go crazy, but they did buy things at Christmas, and BNPL was part of it. And we're already seeing credit card defaults edging up and credit card delinquency. First you're delinquent, then you default. We're seeing that. So I think BNPL, there's going to be a lot of headlines, and none of them is going to be good. Defaults will be up, regulation will be up, and by the end of the year, I think there'll be more sense about what we allow people to do with BNPL when they already have their credit cards maxed. That's number 4. Number 3. What is number 3? Well, I haven't mentioned Nvidia yet, but I've already mentioned AI. I think Nvidia is going to stay on a tear, but I don't think it's going to be up 100% this year. I think it's going to be up 25%. So Nvidia, I think it'll be up 25% as it does what we call grows into its shoes, because it's had such a hot run up, such a hot stock. AI will still be there. People are still buying chips. Heck, there was a company that Nvidia just bought that actually only uses Nvidia chips for the AI tool set. Remember I said AI tools on an earlier number? Yep. So I think Nvidia, 25%, but not to the moon. That's number 3. Number 2, I think the S&P will be at 6,600, not more than that. In other words, 10% up on that 6,000 high we hit, maybe about that, but I don't see it more than that, because the Magnificent 7, which is now kind of like the Magnificent 5, you know, how much can they keep driving? And I think Nvidia, I've already mentioned what I think they're going to go. So I think it's going to be a back to normal year versus the craziness of the stock market of the last 2 years. Trust me, I'd love more crazy, but I think it's a back to normal year. S&P 6,600. And finally, number 1. I saved this one for last because I love it. Number 1, you've been waiting for it. I haven't mentioned him and I haven't mentioned it, but I'm going to mention them together, him and it. Elon Musk and TikTok. Elon Musk makes a serious attempt to acquire TikTok. Why? Trump has tried to find a U.S. partner for TikTok. And if TikTok comes together with X under one roof, the cost-effective side of that for Elon is high. Also, it gives him leverage called strength, called the hammer, called control over ad dollars. And all the ad dollars have been staying away from X and doing things like this. If TikTok, which has really been a boon for advertisers, suddenly advertisers have something other than Instagram when you're really selling through digital marketing efforts. And I think Trump will get Elon to come alongside, take TikTok into the US, keep the data out of China, and I think Elon will go along and make a run at TikTok. That's my number one. So as you can see, I've put one on there that I actually think that I could be way wrong. However, these are my top 10 predictions for this year. So stay up with the predictions. Stay up with the news. VT News AI, that's where I start every day. And you can go in right now and make your own predictions day by day and see what other people are predicting in the news of the day. It's more than just March Madness, which will be here before we know it. It's daily economic and political madness, and you can go in and make your predictions. Go check out VT News AI. I'm Tom Ellsworth with the Biz Doc, and that's my top 10 predictions for 2025.